Good morning and welcome to Sportuccino. It is Friday, the 7th of October, 2016, and we are live on Facebook. Facebook.com/Sportuccino. We are your morning sports breakfast show. Every weekday morning, we will be live on Facebook Live on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Sportuccino. This is your show. If you've got any views on football, sport, tennis, cricket, breakfast, nutrition, health, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you want to learn about every single morning on Sportuccino. If you haven't joined the conversation on the Facebook page, you can also do it on our Twitter page at Sportuccino and use the hashtag Sportuccino. We would love to hear from you. It's been a busy night of World Cup qualifiers. We've got more to come this weekend. So let's start the show with our morning headlines. Italy and Spain draw 1-1 in a World Cup qualifier in Turin. Wales also draw 2-2 in Austria in Group D. While in South America, there's another draw as Argentina draw 2-2 against Peru without Lionel Messi. And the first day-night test match in England is scheduled for next August against the West Indies at Edgbaston. So all of that and much more on today's Sportuccino. We'll be discussing all of those matches from last night and all of the other big World Cup qualifiers in just a moment. But I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Barclays Eagle Labs. Barclays Eagle Labs provide private offices and co-working spaces for businesses to create, innovate and to grow. You can learn more about them on their websites. That's labs.uk.barclays, and also they're on social media at Eagle_Labs. Now, speaking of social media, we are on Twitter at Sportuccino, and every single morning we have a brand new poll. We would love you to get involved in the poll. Here is this morning's poll on our Twitter page. It is, will you watch England versus Malta on Saturday? Remember to use the hashtag Sportuccino if you've got any messages you want to send to us. It's, will you watch England versus Malta on Saturday? That's on the Twitter page. We would love for you to get involved. Personally, I don't think I will. I'm really not bothered if England win 1-0 or 10-0 against Malta. It doesn't tell us anything. I think it sets off the wrong kind of feeling towards how good the England team is. And then ultimately we go to a World Cup or a European Championships and get disappointed and get upset. And frankly, I don't want to build up the hope. And then you get players they draft in and you think, oh, they look really good. I think there was a qualifier where John Joe Shelby was involved and he looked really good. And it was away, I can't remember who it was, away at, maybe at San Marino, I can't remember. And you think, oh, John Joe Shelby looks good. And then he doesn't get into the squad and his form drops. So they don't really tell you anything. But there were some big matches last night. Italy drew 1-1 with Spain in their World Cup qualifier, the big game in Turin. There were also draws for Wales, win for Ireland, more matches to come. So I thought if we're going to talk about international football, there's only one man who we can talk to, who knows all about international football. He is a football commentator for Eurosport and other networks. He's been doing it for a long time. He's one of the best in the business. I'd like to introduce to today's show Andy Bodfish. Andy, welcome to Sportuccino. Thanks for joining the show.
Morning.
So Andy, we're going to start talking about Italy versus Spain. There was that big mistake by Gianluigi Buffon for that first Spain goal, Vitolo. Is Buffon past it?
Unbelievable. We've seen it 160 odd appearances for Italy. Never done anything like that before. There was quite an interesting quote from De Rossi after the game, who of course scored the penalty that Ramos gave away a lot later on to earn Italy that undeserved draw, if we're being quite honest. He said it's good that Buffon makes a mistake once in a while to prove he's not a robot. I don't think he'd have been making that had they not won the penalty and drawn the game, because it was an amazing game, really. It was a disappointing performance from Italy. They played like the away team. It was bizarre. The game was at Juventus' stadium, at Stadium Juve, and we've seen the possession stats. That's always the case for Spain. But it really was quite striking to see Italy being bossed at home like that in a World Cup qualifier. Both teams have got long unbeaten runs in World Cup qualifiers. Italy haven't lost a World Cup qualifier, I think, in 10 years. So they did well to maintain that. And it reminds you of the old line about not wanting a talented general, but a lucky general. We wonder if the new Italian coach is that lucky general, because they got the penalty late on, didn't really deserve to get anything from the game. Spain bossed it, and probably they will be upset not to have beaten Italy on their own turf like that.
I'm always concerned about Italy. You know, they've got that experienced back line, but I think going forward, they're never really creative enough. I know they've got high hopes for Verratti, but I'm not really sure he's done it yet on the international stage. I don't think they've really replaced Pirlo. And I think Pella, the former Southampton striker, he was playing up front last night, and he's playing in the Chinese league. And, you know, if you look back at Italy, they used to have some really great strikers, didn't they, Andy?
Absolutely right. Definitely struggled to replace Pirlo. I don't think too many Azzurrini Italy fans are, pinning too much on Pella being the figurehead to take them to World Cup glory in Russia. And I think that there was a lot of consternation last night over the exclusion of Verratti from the starting lineup. Apparently, he was only able to start one of these two qualifiers in the doubleheader this international week. So, the new coach has gone for him starting against Macedonia on Tuesday. And I think that Italy didn't look particularly attacking. They didn't look particularly dangerous last night until the second half. Immobile came on, Pallotti as well, when they looked a little bit better when push came to shove, when they had to go out and properly avoid defeat in the last half hour or so. They looked better then, but for long periods of that match, they were content to sit back, let Spain come onto them and try and soak it up. It was a counter-attacking performance at home from Italy, and that's not something that they want to see.
Exactly. And Spain, again, I think you mentioned the statistics of possession. I think in the first half, it was 72% for Spain. Pardon?
73%, I think, for Spain.
73%, which is unreal. Is that a real problem then, that they haven't got the strikers to put the goals away? Diego Costa was recalled. He didn't play in the Euros. Morata, obviously, is their other backup, and he did well in the Euros for them. But, they're not as good as, say, when they had Torres and Villa up front.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and that's been the eternal problem, isn't it? Certainly since Villa terrorised the rest of them. They've lacked a player to stick the ball in the back of the net. I mean, Diego Costa, love him or loathe him, I suppose that he is a finisher. He's a poacher. The chances didn't fall to him last night. Indeed, you look at the set pieces they had last night in that first half, Spain, and Gerard Piqué was on the end of two of them. I suppose they will say, not that Gerard Piqué didn't know anything about scoring a goal or two, but they will say that the chances fell to the wrong players last night. But I think certainly, they need Diego Costa, certainly in this group with Italy to come, and we've got to remember as well that Albania are in this group, and Italy and Spain to go to Albania, you wouldn't put it past the Albanians to nick a point somewhere along the line. So they certainly need Costa to convert in this group. But I definitely agree in that it is maybe a potential weakness for them. The lack of a consistent goal scorer at international level, because obviously since Costa made his decision, he wanted to play for Spain over Brazil. He's not exactly done it. He's not exactly proved to the Spaniards, this is why you're lucky to have me, which I think was the argument he was trying to promote. When he decided to choose Spain, he's certainly got to get a little bit deadlier in this group in front of goal.
Yeah, I was actually disappointed with the way he performed at the 2014 World Cup. So maybe that was why they didn't take him to the Euros. Maybe that was a thought Del Bosque had. Well, that was in the past. We've got comments on Facebook Ziad saying it's not a penalty. We'd love to get your thoughts on Facebook, facebook.com/Sportuccino. What are your thoughts on that, Andy?
I'm surprised at that, because to me it was a stonewall penalty. He didn't get the ball. He was late. Eder went down. Eder had got to the ball first. He nicked it past Ramos, and Ramos clipped him. It was quite revealing after the ball had left the incident, as it were, and sort of squirmed away, that Ramos is pointing at the ball, saying, "I got the ball," as players tend to do in those situations. He didn't. He was late to the ball. Eder got there first. He's coming late. He's clipped him. The player's gone down. I mean, I know the German referee went across to his assistant to confirm his initial thought, but to me, the officials got that one right. That was a blatant penalty. And by the way, Ramos has been an accident waiting to happen all season. He's conceded goals, he's conceded penalties this season, and it's no surprise to see him dive in like that last night and make a challenge that cost Spain in the end, because they should have won that game. They really should have won that game. Okay. But for me, it was a penalty. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Andy. Let's move on to Wales against Austria. Wales led twice in that game, I believe. Ended up being a 2-2 draw. Is that a good result for Wales?
Well, this is the interesting thing about an international team who are at a certain level, or any football team that are at a certain level, and then you maybe play above yourselves, as Wales, of course, did in the summer. No one quite expected them to do what they did. And now, of course, expectations shift. There's a lot more expected of them. So I would suggest that, yes, that was an opportunity missed. They took the lead twice, pegged back twice, thanks to Mr. Arnautovic, the Zlatan wannabe, I always call him. But, take nothing away from those 2 goals he scored. Of course, an away point in a World Cup qualifier is a good result, certainly in Vienna against Austria. But, Wales are expecting to take the lead and hold on to lead and win these matches now. So I suspect Chris Coleman and his team will look at that as, an opportunity wasted to get an away win in what is a tough World Cup qualifying group.
It is tough, but there was a good win for Ireland, wasn't there? That they got a 1-0 win at home.
There was. It was hard fought. I mean, it's all about, it's a numbers game. You've got to win your home World Cup qualifiers and then hope to nick the odd result away from home as well. So, Ireland got a win. I will say that that would have been the bare minimum, really. Home World Cup qualifier, tougher test to come. So, yes, they won. Well done. But, so they should have done, basically.
Iceland, their fairy tale continues. They were 2-1 down against Finland in the battle of probably the 2 coldest countries in the world, between Iceland and Finland. 2-1 down, ended up winning 3-2. I was reading something on Twitter the other day during the Ryder Cup, and I think it was actually Adam Fielder's Twitter, who we had on the show on Monday talking about the Ryder Cup, saying he hates the word momentum. That after, in the Ryder Cup, when Team USA went 4-0 up, it was all about momentum. He was like, momentum's nonsense. I don't like the word momentum. But I'm going to bring this up to you. Is the momentum still with Iceland? And is that why they can still produce these good results like they did yesterday, beating Finland 3-2?
Maybe. I think it's probably a different argument when it comes to international forward, because it's so international football, because it's so stop-start in a sense. You only get you get 2 matches in an international week, such as this one, but then of course players return to their clubs and don't play again for their country, don't meet up again, as a country unit, as it were. For another 4 or 5 weeks or so. So I think it's probably less important when it comes to international football. But again, for me, it's the argument about retaining that spirit and remembering and retaining the pattern of what made you successful, as was the case with Iceland at the Euro. Because, that, much like the Welsh, it's a country who weren't expected to produce what they did produce. They did so, And now people are looking at Iceland and they're saying they did well at the Euro. They reached the quarter-final. What can they do now? We expect them to win matches. We expect them to win points, and quite honestly, we expect them to qualify for tournaments now. So I think momentum might be less important in international football, but I still think there's something to be said for a collective spirit that is retained through a long qualifying campaign.
The population of Iceland is about 300,000. While I might be wrong here, I believe the population of Malta is 400,000, which is England's next opponents. And obviously Iceland beat England. Surely we're not expecting a shock in this game on Saturday, are we, Andy?
Well, this is England, so quite honestly, you never know. No, of course we're not. England won't get beaten on Saturday, but that's not to say England... Gareth Southgate's come in, a decent, steady character there, just to sort of calm everything down after the events of the last fortnight or so. So you never know. This is England. This is an international football team that has become basically farcical, both on the pitch, as we saw, we've just mentioned the Iceland game in Nice in the summer, and off the pitch with, good old Big Sam and his efforts to, boost his not inconsiderable salary, a little bit on the side. We'd all like that. Thank you very much. Of course, Malta won't win, but, well, I say that, you just never know with England.
I would be shocked if Malta won, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was one of the... It should be a game, really, where England should win 3 or 4-0. More realistically, I can see something like this happening where for 70 minutes they're pressing. Malta have got a really strong defence and they're holding back. England have no creativity, and then finally someone comes off the bench and gets a goal, maybe with a 1-0, and then maybe get a second for a 2-0.
Or a 66th minute penalty for England to break the deadlock. I totally know what you mean. We've been there before with England. It's a home qualifier, so England won't lose that. But I think I don't know. It'll be good. I think it'll be good for England to play again after the events of the last couple of weeks. We can start talking about the football again, rather than off the field activities. So I think it's good for England to play again, to get a win, which I know, we're joking away here. England will win that match. And I think it'll be just good for the England football team to play a match again, basically.
Is the full-time job Gareth Southgate's to lose? Because, if you look at the way England have performed in World Cup and European qualifiers, they very rarely lose. Now, other than some absolute disaster, you would expect England to certainly remain unbeaten in the next 4 matches, not necessarily win them all. With that in mind, surely Gareth Southgate is eventually going to be given the job full-time, isn't he?
I'm not too sure it's that it's that signed and sealed. I mean, Gareth Southgate been touted for the senior job before, and interestingly, there's been one or two interesting comments from Southgate saying that he doesn't feel maybe he's the right candidate to be the long-term England head coach, because he said he's not too sure the players. Not that the players don't respect him, but they look at him as perhaps not having the achievement list of a guy that should be managing England. Now, quite refreshingly honest and reasonably self-deprecating, actually, for a guy in top-level football to admit to weaknesses of perception. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a sure thing that Southgate will. We'll get it long term. We will have to wait and see over the next few matches whether the results go his way, because it's all about results. If England slip up over the next 4 matches, got a tough friendly with Spain, of course, as well next month too. So if the results don't go their way, I'm not sure anyone will want him to be the England manager, least of all Southgate himself. If they do go well, I would say it's not even a surefire thing then. It's all about the results. Let's wait and see what happens, with England's results over these next 4 matches. And indeed, I mean, I was chatting to another buddy of mine the other day about this. Other candidates, other English candidates for the main job, as it were. People have talked about Alan Pardew and Eddie Howe and so on. Between now and February, March time, a lot can happen with their clubs. If those clubs nosedive with those guys in charge, then no one will want them to be England manager anyway. So we'll have to wait and see results, club and country, and then I suppose think about it again, certainly after the Spain game in November and probably early in the new year in terms of a long-term coach to take England forward.
I certainly wonder whether they gave Southgate these 4 months because maybe they've got Wenger in mind for next summer. Let him see out this last year at Arsenal where they'll be challenging for everything, win nothing, the fans will get on his back once again, and then he'll look to say, all right, it's time to go away, it's time to have a new challenge. I can just travel around England, watching England matches, and coach a couple of matches every few months.
I think that's definitely a possibility, yes. I don't think there's any secret that the FA's long-term plan, going back a few years now, would be, their ideal scenario would be to get Arsene Wenger in to manage England. I completely agree with what you said. We'll have to wait and see how Arsenal's season pans out, whether they can win anything, whether they can be competitive at the top of the league, whether they can do anything in the Champions League, i.e. not get beaten in the last 16 again. But again, we'll have to see how Arsenal's results go, if the crowd are beginning to get on Wenger's back again, if there's maybe a sea change, deep at the club in terms of... Because let's be honest, the moment Arsene Wenger leaves Arsenal, that is a big deal for that club. Just as Alex Ferguson leaving Manchester United was, and look at the managerial turmoil there's been since then. You wouldn't be surprised if something similar happened at the Emirates when Wenger goes. So they will do everything they can to keep Arsene Wenger at the Emirates. Maybe not as head coach, going forward, in some kind of ambassadorial role or director of football, whatever it may be. You can be dead sure that Arsenal don't want to get rid of Arsene Wenger, much as the FA in England want him. But again, we'll just have to see how their season goes. And as you said earlier, if things don't go well for them, the environment might be right at last for Wenger for England. I certainly wouldn't rule it out.
It's been really interesting. Lots of interesting things to talk about. We've got some great matches this weekend. There's also France, Bulgaria, Netherlands, Belarus, Sweden are in that group as well. Germany versus Czech Republic, and of course what we've just been talking about, England versus Malta. So much going on this weekend, and it's been really great to get your perspective on things. Football commentator Andy Bodfish, thank you so much for your time
Pleasure.
and being on Sportuccino this morning.
See you soon.
Brilliant stuff there from Andy. We really enjoyed his time this morning on Sportuccino. Remember, if you want to get involved in the conversation, all you've got to do is put a comment on our Facebook page and also using the hashtag Sportuccino. We'll also put all of the full episodes on our website, sportuccino.com, where you can also find more information about buying some of our merchandise. Come on people, get the mug. We want you to buy the mug on the merchandise page on sportuccino.com. Don't be a mug. Today's show is brought to you by Barclays Eagle Labs. Barclays Eagle Labs provide co-working spaces and private offices for businesses to create, innovate and to grow. If you want to learn more about them, all you've got to do is go to labs.uk. eagle.barclays, and they are on Twitter at eagle_labs. That is today's sponsor. It is Barclays Eagle Labs. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring today's show. If you would like to sponsor the show, all you've got to do is go to sportsdesk@sportuccino.com. All right, now we're going to do a product review. We were meant to do it yesterday, but we ran out of time talking about WWE No Mercy with Paul Benson. His review is on our YouTube page, and you can watch that. And it's also, we've got clips on Twitter. But today's product is an app. Now, we're trying something new here. Take a look at this. This is fancy, isn't it? This is MyFitnessPal app. See, that's my previous current weight was 93 kilos. My goal weight was 85 kilos. I actually got down to 83 kilos. And you can change these things here. So it's all about measuring. It's a really great app. Ian Pritchard, who was our guest on Tuesday, he mentioned this app, and it tells you how many calories you need to have each day. Now I'm looking at it on the screen here. 2,600 is the target. And then what's great is you track what you have throughout the day for food. So for breakfast, for example, you search what you have. Like, for example, I'm putting in here Nen's gluten-free porridge, which we'll be talking about on another product review on Sportuccino to come. And then it gives you all of the other information, other frequently paired foods. For example, I have some mini box of raisins with my porridge. Yes, I am a bit of a child. I like raisins. You know those little boxes you used to get as a kid. They're really tasty. Maybe in the comments you tell me what you have for breakfast. But what's really good about this is you can search different foods. So, for example, scrambled egg, and it gives you. So, for example, if you go out for a meal and you have a steak, it will look for all of the different companies and restaurants where you have the steak, so you get the accurate nutritional information. Sometimes, they've got thousands and thousands of different companies and different steaks on there, for example, and different foods as well. So you can get as close to the nutritional information as you can if it's not quite exactly what you found. And you can always adjust the serving size. You can always adjust the number of servings, so you can get as close. So you can try and track as accurately as possible what you are having every single day. So that is my review on the MyFitnessPal app. There's lots of other features on it. Check it out. You can download it on the App Store. It's something I really recommend. It was recommended by my personal trainer. It just keeps you across what you're eating. And you've got to be honest though. If you're going to have a Coke, you're having a Coke. If you're going to have a pizza, you're going to have a pizza. Everyone deserves a cheat day. Everyone deserves that. But just stay across exactly what you are having. So that is this morning's product review. It is the MyFitnessPal app. It's produced by Under Armour, the sportswear manufacturers. It's really good. I recommend you download it. We'll have more product reviews next week on Sportuccino, including our first competition. We're going to be checking out some compression tights, which we will be giving away on the show. Check that out. Next week, we've got so many guests involved, including the football journalist Gary Al Smith and the comedian Stephen Grant. We've got all kinds of things coming up for you on Sportuccino. We're digesting sports at breakfast every weekday morning at 8 a.m. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I would love to get your feedback. But until now, we will see you again on Monday at 8 a.m. Have a good one. Take care.